Hello everyone, myself Dr. Upendra Kumar, Assistant Professor in Computer Science and Engineering Department, IET Lucknow. So, today I am going to discuss the introductory lecture of Design and Analysis of Algorithm subject, that is the lecture 1 of Algorithms and Analyzing Algorithms. Before going to start this discussion, I would like to brief about what is the prerequisite of this course. So, we need to have this a basic understanding of the data structure subject, and another aspect is we need to have understanding of how to write an algorithms. So, throughout this course we would be talking about the pseudocode convention to write down the algorithms. So, basically we must be knowing about how to write an algorithms in the form of pseudocode if we want to study this subject over here. Now, the third actually prerequisite is, that is the actually not essential, but it is actually we are actually saying that it should everyone should have some common understanding of the basic programming like C programming, C++ programming, Java programming or any other kind of programming language, the common understanding we should have. Now, let us begin with this topic, introduction of this topic. Now, just see, the first question comes, what is an algorithm? So, algorithm is what? Algorithm is a step by step procedure to solve a given problem. Then next question comes, what is a program? So, what is the difference between a program and algorithm? So, programming is also a step by step procedure to solve a given problem. Then what is the difference between an algorithm and the program? So, program, the constant is, so a program should be written in a computer understandable language. So, it can be written either in C language, basic, C++, Java or any computer understandable language, but in the case of algorithm it is not required. The algorithm can be written in the form of any human understandable language, that is the difference between the algorithm and the program. Now, if we talk about the basic introduction of that is the bookish introduction of the algorithm, that is the well defined computational procedure that takes some values or set of values as input, and after processing it gives some output or set of output values. So, basically this definition can be better understood by the figure written over here. So, what the algorithm is doing here, we are giving input to this algorithm and this algorithm is able to process on it, and now it produces some output. Now, another definition is it can be defined as a tool which can be used to solve the computational problems, well defined specified computational problems. We can take some example over here. Suppose we are taking a sorting problem. So, what is the sorting problem? We are given a set of values as array of integer values. We want to sort it either in increasing order or decreasing order. In some other sense, we want to reorder it, we want to reorganize it, we want some more permutation on it, apply more permutation on it. So, that is our expected output. So, input is what? So, input is a sequence of n numbers, let us say it is A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, An, and the expected output is the number should be reordered, either in increasing order or decreasing order. Here we have taken by default increasing order. So, after reordering the symbols becomes A1 dash, A2 dash, A3 dash dot dot An dash. So, the constant what this ordering should satisfy, the A1 dash must be less than or equal to A2 dash, less than or equal to A3 dash, and so on. So, this is basically the problem, the sorting problem, and we can take an instance of the sorting problem. So, this is an example where the set of integer values are given, and we want to implement such an algorithm which would give us the expected output, that the permutation of the input like arrange the numbers in increasing order. Now, just see what is the need of algorithm. So, why we need development of algorithms? So, basically a lot of problems are available in a real time scenario where we need development of algorithms. For example, very well known project, that is the Human Genome Project, everyone must be knowing about it. So, basically this project is working on identifying around 1 lakh genes of the human DNA. It is also working on determining the sequences of around 3 billion chemical base pairs. Just see, and also if we talk about the Human Genome Project, basically it requires the storage of a lot of information. We are talking about 1 lakh genes of the human DNA. Just see how much memory space it would require for the storage, and also we need to develop some algorithms which can analyze this kind of data. So, just see, all these kind of functions requires the development of algorithms. In other sense, we can say that the good development of good algorithms. Now, another example is the huge network. If we talk about the internet, so basically what it requires development of such an algorithm which can efficiently manage and manipulate the large amount of data which is being produced day by day through the internet. So, the third application is the e-commerce. So, basically where we place the order to purchase the items, and delivery also we get the delivery on time. So, all these kind of facilities requires development of good algorithms in order to actually facilitate the services through e-commerce. And there are so many other problems. So, we have listed only few problems over here. The shortest path problem. So, we want to find out the shortest. We have set of number of paths available. We just want to find out the shortest path among them. Similarly, the matrix chain multiplication algorithms, then string matching algorithm. There are so many various problems are available, or we need to develop a good algorithms in order to solve those kind of problems. Now, this now the important topic comes, that design and analysis of algorithm. This is the topic of our coursework. So, here we have two important terms, that is the design. First one is the design and the second one is the analysis. So, once we have a logic to solve a given problem, we need to convert it into an algorithm. So, basically there is a need to convert our logic into some statements, so that we can implement a code regarding that in order to solve that problem. So, how we can design an algorithm? So, basically there are so many design techniques are available based on which we can design our algorithms. So, for example, the design strategies are the incremental approach. If we talk about different sorting algorithms like bubble sort, selection sort, insertion sort, they are basically based on incremental design approach, because here in these cases we develop each component one by one, that is why it follows incremental approach. The next is the divide and conquer approach. The merge sort and the quick sort, both are actually based on divide and conquer approach, where we divide a problem into a number of sub problems, and those sub problems are solved recursively, and finally we combine those solution of those sub problems, we get the final solution. Similarly, the grid strategy, backtracking, branch and bound, approximation, randomization, all these types of design strategies can be used to design the algorithms. Now, the question comes, so if we have a problem, we want to design such an algorithm. So, this algorithm may be suited which kind of design strategies? So, definitely every problem, a set of problem can be suited to a particular design strategy, some other set of problems can be suited to another set of strategies. So, we cannot say that every time a particular problem or a particular set of problem will be suited to a particular type of design strategies. No, it depends upon what kind of problem we have, that according to that we can apply the design strategies. Now we come to the another topic, that is the analysis of algorithm. So, why we need analysis of algorithm? We just want to estimate the computing resources, what kind of computing resources an algorithm can have, resources that a algorithm can have a need. Just see, means what kind of hardware, what kind of processor, what kind of how much RAM memory, so how much network speed, and so many other factors are actually responsible in order to analyze an algorithms. So, basically if we talk about type of analysis, so basically there are two types of analysis, the priori analysis and the posteriori analysis. Priori analysis is actually is done during the implementation of during the algorithm design. So, we do not do this kind of analysis after implementation. So, we does this kind of analysis before implementation. We basically the objective of this kind of analysis is to estimate how much time our algorithm would take, how much memory space our algorithm would take if you are going to implement actually implement that algorithm into our code. So, the another is the posterior analysis. Basically, this is done after the implementation when we have converted our algorithm to the program. So, basically the posterior analysis is actually calculating the actual running time of an of a program, while prior analysis basically is not exactly giving the actual, but it is estimating the running time of algorithm which is near to our actual running time. So, basically throughout this course most of the time we would be talking about the priori analysis of algorithm. Priori analysis, one more important thing is we ignore some factors like the hardware factors, how the hardware affects the performance of a algorithm, some other factors also, network factors, memory access factors, data accessing factors. So, generally we would ignore all these kind of factors in case of priori analysis. We would concentrate on how much running time it would be taking, how much memory space it would be taking if we go further to implement our algorithm. Now, the third is the time and space complexity. So, already this is our prime aspect. To analyze an algorithm, we want to calculate the time complexity, we want to find out the space complexity. So, time complexity is what? How much time an algorithm would take in execution. Similarly, how much memory space it would take an algorithm if we convert it into a code form. Now, the another point is, so we just want to do a feasibility analysis, feasibility study whether this algorithm can be implemented in the form of code, it would be feasible or not. So, this kind of analysis will also required in this case. So, definitely the last line says that we need correct algorithms to be analyzed. So, no need to analyze the incorrect algorithms, obviously we need always the correct algorithms. Now, just see. This is the requirement, what are the basically prerequisite of algorithm analysis and what are the different objectives. So, to analyze any algorithm we always need to have some mathematical model. Without mathematical model we cannot analyze any kind of algorithm. So, in this case whatever the model we would be using a RAM model which would be discussed in next slide. Now, what we do here, what is the objective of our algorithm analysis is that we just want to estimate the time complexity and the space complexity. Basically, we are not actually talking about the exact time complexity, exact running time required by an algorithm, but here we are estimating the running time and space time requirement of an algorithm. Now, just see one more important thing that we would analyze here, that how our algorithms will behave on real machines, real computers. If we are deploying our algorithms on the different types of networks, internet, if we are actually implemented such an algorithm which also requires access of data. So, basically this kind of impact would also be analyzed in this case over here. Now, another objective of the algorithm analysis is that we want to design more efficient algorithms. So, basically what we do, we keep on analyzing algorithms, we keep on changing our algorithms, we keep on designing our algorithms, and based on this algorithm analysis we are in a situation to come in a situation where we have more efficient algorithms. The last objective is the compare the algorithms to get the better algorithm. So, without algorithm analysis we cannot compare two algorithms. If we are not able to compare two algorithms, we are not able to find out better algorithms, we are not able to design better algorithms. So, obviously the mathematical model which is required to run our algorithm, that is RAM model, that is the random access machine. So, which would be using in this course for analysis of the algorithm. Just see, for every model it will have some assumptions. Without assumptions we cannot define any model that is actually theoretical model. Here RAM is a theoretical model that is actually giving the estimate of running time, that is not giving the exact running time of an algorithm. So, what are the assumptions? The first assumption is, now just see, our first assumption is every single instruction, every single line which has some operations like addition, multiplication, some if conditions, that would take single unit step time. So, every single instruction that would consider this kind of operation would be considered as it would take a single unit step time. The second thing is loop and subroutines, they will not be considered as a single simple operations, they would be considered as a composition of single step operations. So, that is why, so how many times the loop will run, that would also count that number of unit step times that it would take. Now, the third is here we will assume that the every memory access will exactly take single unit time, although it would not be the case for the real time scenario, but in order to simplify our analysis, we consider that each memory access takes only single unit time. So, this is what are our assumptions. These are the some of the main points of analyzing algorithms. The time resource requirement depends on the input size. So, every time if you are talking about the running time, so basically we will be talking that we will be estimating the running time with respect to the input size. So, what is input size? In general sense, most of the time it would be the number of elements present in our input data, whatever the input is given to the algorithms. Now, how the running time can be defined? So, running time can be defined as the number of primitive operations or the steps executed for an input. So, whatever the input is given to the algorithm, so how many number of times the primitive operations which are actually responsible for the logic of that algorithm. So, how many number of times the primitive operations are executed, that will give us the actual running time. So, now if we talk about the algorithm analysis, so what happens? We analyze the algorithm for the three different cases: the base case, the average case and the worst case scenario. So, what is the base case? Base case is when an algorithm takes minimum number of steps for the execution. What is the worst case? When the algorithm takes the maximum number of steps to be executed, and the third is the average case, which is actually the in between case between the base case and the average case. So, if we talk about analyzing algorithms, so every time the algorithm, we cannot consider that an algorithm lies in the base case or the worst case. So, somehow it will lie in between the base case and average case. In that case, the average case scenario comes over here. Now, if we talk about the sorting problem, so what happens? If the elements are already in sorted order, so definitely this is the case of base case. So, it will require minimum number of comparisons, and resultantly what will happen? It will require very less number of time, less number of running time. If we talk about worst case, so the worst case for the sorting will be if the elements are already in reverse order. So, it would take highest number of comparisons. So, it would require the higher running time to execute. So, that is the worst case. And if we talk about the average case, so average case is what? The half of the elements are in sorted order and other half of the elements are in reverse order. So, basically it would take the average time, that is why this is the average case scenario for the sorting. Now, we are going to discuss about how to analyze the insertion sort. So, first we will take the case of base case. Now, see here we are not going to discuss about the logic part, just see here how it works. In insertion sort, basically there are two loops. First one is the for loop and second is the while loop. Basically there are two loops and the while loop acts as a inner loop for the for loop. Now, see what happens in this case. The outer loop for loop actually telling us that it runs from 2 to n, it means there are n minus 1 number of iterations it has. Now, the inner loop tells that how many number of comparisons it requires. Basically, first time what happens in this example, so first time it will take the second element as the key element over here. So, this key this element will be assigned with the key. Now, this element will be compared the previous element. So, if we talk about the first iteration, it will have only one comparison. If we talk about the second iteration, it will have two comparisons. If we talk about third iteration, it will have 3 comparisons. So, it depends on the value of j how many times this while loop runs over here. Now, Just see, if 2 is compared with 5, if 2 is if 5 is greater than 2, so what will happen, this the element will be shifted to right side. So, what happens inside the while loop, this element a of I is plus 1 is equal to a of I, what happens, the element is shifted to right side. Now, just see in the second slide, second part. So, 5 is shifted one position to the right side, now this position it becomes blank. Now, just see, there are no more elements to compare. So, finally, what happens, if we come out this while loop, we are placing a of I plus 1 is equal to key. So, this key value is placed in this position, this is a blank position. So, in place of 5, 2 will come over here. So, this is how this algorithm works. Now, see, we are going to analyze this algorithm. Just see how we can analyze this algorithm. Basically, it will consider each statement one by one. We are considering that the first line takes how much time. If we run one time, so it takes C1 cost. If we run if second line run one time, so it takes C2 cost. C2 cost means the time it takes in running one time. So, C1, C2, C3 and so on. So, here we have considered the cost of each statement running one time. Now, we just want to find out how many times this statement will run during the completion of complete run of this program. So, once we are able to find out these number of times, we will multiply the cost with the times, and when overall we sum up these values. So, we are able to find out the time complexity of this algorithm, total time taken by this algorithm, the estimate time of taken by this algorithm. Now, see how many times they are running. So, if we talk about the body part of the for loop, so now for loop is running from 2 to n means n minus 1 time. So, the body part each statement will run n minus 1. Just see here, this is running n minus 1 time, n minus 1 time, n minus 1 time. We know that each loop runs one more time than its body. So, if the body is running n minus 1 time, so this for loop will run n times over here. Just see now. Then what about the inner loop? We know that inner loop runs its maximum time for a particular value of outer loop. If you take a particular value of j, so inner loop will inner loop while loop will run completely. So, what happens? It depends on the value of j, how many times this while loop runs. So, just see here, it will run up to this condition satisfied. Once this condition is unsatisfied, the control will come out this while loop. So, now see, for example, for the value of j, we take that it runs how much time, Tj times, we are considering that it runs Tj times for a value of j. So, what will happen, there are two statements which are basically inside the while loop. So, these two statements will run Tj minus 1 time, one less time with respect to the while loop. So, here just see, here they are running Tj minus 1 time, Tj minus 1 time for what? For a single value of j. If you talk about all the values of j, all the values of outer loop, so we will put here a summation. So, it will have summation of j is equal to 2 to n Tj, summation of j is equal to 2 to n Tj. Just see, and the last line, since this last line is out of this while loop, but inside the scope of this for loop, so it will run n minus 1 time. Now, if anyhow we are able to find out this value and we multiply it with each individual cost and we summing up, so we finally what we get? We will get the final solution over here. Now, if we talk about the best case, so best case already we have told you that the best case occurs when the elements are already in sorted order. So, what would happen? In that case, this condition will be always false, means this while loop will run only one time for each value of j, and for the first time also it will come out from the while loop, means it will run only one time for each value of j. So, what will happen? These two lines inside this while loop will not run. So, definitely this Tj will be, the value of Tj will be what? 1, and what will happen? The rest of the lines they will not run any time. So, it will become 0. Now, just see here in this term C6 into 0, C7, there is no any term for C6 and C7. Now, see here Tj is equal to 1, if you find out the summation of 1 which runs from 2 to n, so basically it will give us n minus 1. So, this while statement will run only n minus 1 times like the other statements. Just see here, C1 runs n times, C1 into n, C2 n minus 1. So, finally, if we calculate this expression, so we get a linear equation. This linear equation tells that the time complexity of insertion sort for what? For the base case base case depends on the linear function of input size n. So, we can say that the complexity of insertion sort for the base case will be omega of n. Now, just see, if we talk about the worst case analysis, so in worst case what will happen, this for loop, this inner while loop will run maximum number of times. So, the value of T j will be what? In that case the value of T j will be j. If value of j is 2, so it will run it will run to 1 times. If value of j is 3, it will run 2 times. So, the value of T j will be 1. If we put the value of T j over here this, so this is nothing but what? The summation of n minus 1 natural number. The formula says that n plus 1 by 2, summation of n natural numbers says that the formula that n plus 1 by 2. So, we will put here the value of this one. So, what we get here? We get a quadratic equation here, we get a quadratic equation over here, just see. So, what it does, what it says, in worst case the time complexity of insertion sort varies with the square term of input size, that is why its complexity comes big of n square. Similarly, for the average case we will put the value of T j as a j by 2. So, it will also give us the same kind of equation, quadratic equation, and the complexity will come as theta of n square. This is all about the analysis of the insertion sort. Similarly, we can analyze the merge sort also, which is depends on divide and conquer strategy. What happens? There are basically 3 steps over here. We divide the array into 2 equal subarrays of size n by 2, then we solve these 2 subarrays, and finally what we do, we combine the solution of these 2 subarrays to get the final answer. Just see here in this diagram, we have a array of size n, we are going to split it into 2 subarrays of size n by 2. Now, they are unsorted. To sort it out, then we pass it into the merge sort function, we get the sorted array of size n by 2. After getting the solution of these 2 subarrays, if we combine it, so we get finally the sorted order of n elements. So, this is how the merge sort works. So, and this is the what the merging operation. While merging the 2 subarrays, we have to care about they should be in sorted order. We are merging 5 and 2, they are arranged over here. Now, the 2 comes first and the 5 comes later on. So, this is how the merging operation takes place. So, here we are not concentrate on the logic part, but we are actually concentrate on the analysis part of this algorithm. Just see here, if we talk about the merging algorithm, so here what we are taking, we are splitting the array into 2 subarrays L and R, and finally what we get, we are combining these 2 subarrays while we are taking care of the sorting. The first block, this is a linear term, basically takes the single unit time. The second block, what we are doing here, we are basically splitting a array into 2 subarrays, populating 2 subarrays of size each size n by 2. So, n by 2 plus n by 2, that is n. So, complexity will come theta of n. Similarly, this will take the linear time, so theta of 1, and the other part where we are actually merging 2 subarrays of size n by 2 basically, so it would take theta of n time. If we sum up these complexity, so it comes a linear form, a n plus b form. So, the complexity of merging operation in merge sort takes, so basically theta of n. Just see, if we talk about merge sort algorithm, this step takes theta 1 time, this step takes t of n by 2, t of n by 2, and theta of n. So, basically overall the complexity t of n. So, what will we get the final recurrence for the merge sort? So, n size t of n is equal to 2 t n by 2 plus theta of n. Basically, theta of n is the complexity of the merging operations. This is what, this can be solved with the recursion tree method. Just see here in this diagram, what we are doing, we are splitting the n size array into 2 equal subarrays t n by 2 t n by 2, and the merging cost is what? The merging cost is C n over here. Now, again they are splitting by n by 4 and n by 4, and the merging cost will be of what? C n by 2. So, this is your resultant recursion tree, and we can see that in each level we are getting the merging cost, that is the C n. How? C n by 2 plus C n by 2, it will be given C n. So, if we sum up all these costs, so every level if you are getting the cost C n. If anyhow we are able to find out, if you are able to find out the height of the tree or the total number of levels of this recursion tree, so we can find out the final complexity of the sorting algorithms. Though this is actually complete binary tree, so the height will be always come log n. So, number of levels will be 1 more than log of n. So, how can we compute the complexity? So, the total number of levels are log of n plus 1, and the each level comprises C n. So, we reply is, so basically it comes in the form of C n L G n plus C n. So, if we are considering the higher order term, the complexity comes to T of n is theta of n L G n. Similarly, this is actually efficiency comparison, where insertion sort, and we have compared the insertion sort and merge sort for different values of input. We see that for 10,000 value, the insertion sort is working better than the merge sort, while rest of the values of n, merge sort is working better than the insertion sort. What does it mean? It means that if we have if we actually run, if we consider the large value of n, in that case merge sort works better than the insertion sort. This is all about the first chapter of this design and analysis of algorithm course. Thank you very much.